it's Rita with Everything Homemade, and in this episode we're going to talk about a little bit of the lettuce once again. I'm going to show you what's working and what's not working with the hydroponics experiment. I'm also going to tell you what I'm thinking of tweaking, and basically a complete update on a few plants that are doing marvelously. And I'm also going to say thank you once again to Bloom Plus for their amazing grow light. In all honesty, without this grow light, this series wouldn't exist. So they actually really started this series off in saying, hey, Everything Homemade, you want to try out our grow light and see how it works? And I agreed to it. They sent it to me, and it has literally started me growing inside. Take a look at how the plants are growing. Proves how well this grow light works. And I said it once before and I will say it again. This is the best grow light I have ever used. So if you want to order a BP1000 grow light, all the links are in the description box below. And they are 50% off on eBay right now, so go ahead, check them out. To the lettuce now. This container right here was the first one that I harvested on the last video. That's the one you saw. And we watered it with the duck/goose manure, or the waterfowl manure. So I cut it. This is about 6 days later that I'm filming, and it is ready to get cut again. So I said on that film that I would water it and give it some go-go juice, and that's what I did, and it just literally burst again in growth. I mean, in 6 days, it's amazing. So in between that time, 3 days ago, we just harvested this container for another bowl of salad. And I didn't water it right away because it was not dry enough. And you can see how the dirt is drying out. And now I am going to give it its watering with the commercial fertilizer to give it a boost. And so far, my kids, all 5 of them. Meadow can't talk, but she can talk with expression. So I should say all 6. Loved it. They were saying it's the best lettuce. There's no bitter. Across the board, they were thrilled that there's no bitter tang to it. And I can definitely say that there isn't. And this really got me thinking. Is that if there is no tang to this lettuce, the way that I am growing it right now, and I've grown this type in the garden, then I need to be fertilizing it more in the garden because it's lacking a particular nutrients that it's getting when I am fertilizing here. So that means that I need to up my ante in the garden. Even though we put manure and stuff into the ground, I need to be like drenching it with a waterfowl manure to up the mineral content. That's why you sometimes, you hear people, they sprinkle baking soda around their tomato plants, or they use Epsom salt is to get that bitterness out. And I think that we really need to do that because this really proves that you give them the perfect mineral mix. It's gorgeous, it tastes delicious, and they look really good. So I'm gonna make a note of that when I do plant lettuce in the garden, but it is absolutely delicious. So another note on it is that I got thinking, and you know me, I never stop. And I decided that in my little sprouter here, I decided that I'm going to start some more lettuce seeds, but I'm going to start some Swiss chard seeds. And you can see here, you can see the little roots coming. And I water these about once a day. And right now they're in root formation, and this is Swiss chard. And Swiss chard I love, but I don't like that bitterness again. And so I am actually going to grow some hydroponically and to see what happens. And so far it's sprouting really well. I just put these in 3 days ago, so they're doing fantastic. I got some other seeds going here. This is just some romaine lettuce in my sprouter here that I want to do. Now, if you don't go to sprouter, do not get frustrated. You can just use any container. I just grabbed this off my shelf. You can grab any container, a yogurt container, a canning container. Put your seeds at the bottom, swish some water, let it sit for like 2 minutes, and then instead of putting a lid on, take some cheesecloth like right here, put that over the opening, and then put an elastic over so like it doesn't totally dry out and no bugs can get into there. And you got what I have right here. And I've used this style for grains and everything else. It works awesome. Very, very simple. Any cloth. Like if you don't got cheesecloth, any kind of breathable cloth, a tea towel, any kind of material you want to sew with that is a light woven fabric. You don't have to just get stuck on one thing, and I really want to press that because be creative. There's always more than one way to do things. Okay, so you can definitely make that, do that. Okay, so what is happening here with the hydroponics? Some very interesting developments. Let's look at the plants first here that we put into the passive system. And this one is in the waterfowl manure, and it is doing really, really well. Now, I can't really show you the roots because I can't flip my camera upside down because everything gets wet, but it's actually forming new roots. So it's doing terrific. And you can even tell, like, look how green it is. It's doing fantastic. And then we move over to this little plant. It's actually the same lettuce as the ones I'm growing in the dirt. And it's, again, fantastic. The roots are beautiful, and I can pull this one out because it has more of a dangly root there. Beautiful. Look at that. This one here, I should note, this is like a romaine lettuce. This little guy was struggling this morning, and what I did was that I noticed that its root is kind of discolored. It's not that beautiful, nice white, and it's the one that I didn't cut the sponge. It's the one that grows through the sponge, and it's not doing as good. And I'm kind of troubleshooting that one. So what I did was actually brought the water level up to touch the sponge to kind of give it a boost and see where it goes from there. So that one, well, we'll see what happens. Okay. The other development is that I got a healthy crop of algae growing. And this is a huge no-no when it comes to growing plants hydroponically or even in the soil. You don't want this to happen. And the worst two offenders that it's happening in is the commercial starter mix. I'm using the same water all the way through, but the commercial starter mix has been growing I got this wonderful crop going, and all the plants are struggling, which is no surprise. So I definitely don't like that. I'm going to toss these, and like I said before, it was interesting to note that the root development on the starter, commercial starter, wasn't looking so good. I was already concerned, and it isn't. So these are going to get tossed. So we got to do something different there. On other notes, the manure, the goose, and the rabbit have very little algae to none. Like the duck or the waterfowl has nothing in it. The rabbit has just a little bit, and the manure has just a little bit, but it's not like growing rampant at all. So very interesting. The other thing is that we've got some really healthy plants here. Take a look at the roots on this guy right here. You can see the roots, beautiful white. You can see that this little plant here is doing really well, and the little root is sticking out out of the sponge there. So these plants are going to get planted in. I would say I'm going to wait about 6 more days, and then I'm going to put them into some containers. They're doing fantastic. I would also like to note that even though there is algae growing in this stagnant container of water and starter, there is no algae growing in these. You can see that they are crystal clean because the light can't penetrate as easily. So we got nothing growing in here, which is absolutely awesome to see. The couple that are in the Jiffy pellets, they're doing wonderful. And if I flip one over here, you can see the roots. You can see the little white coming through in the little roots. And that's an awesome, awesome thing to see. I just get so excited. I love roots. They're so cool. Anyway, so they're doing really good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put one of these plants into a commercial mix, one into a goat mix. The other ones, I'm just going to cross the board, make sure I always have different mixes to compare the plants and how they're doing. So what I've discovered is when you see something like this, like algae growing and some plants suffering, you need to not stop at what you're doing. You need to sit back and go, okay, let's analyze this. Let's see what we can do to make this better. And just because somebody says it works doesn't always mean it will work for you. Yeah, you got to remember that. And I'm also here, I'm showing you my experience with hydroponics because I want to empower you to always look forward. Never ever go, hey, well, that didn't work, so I guess I just can't do it. No, no, no. It means that you need to tweak it. And it's so important. I tell my children this all the time, is you're only a failure if you stop trying. And you probably heard me say that on the garden videos too. You only fail when you stop. Okay? Let's not stop here. Let's learn from this. Okay, so we got standing water, which isn't that great. Some plants are doing well, some plants aren't, and obviously the commercial starter stuff totally doesn't work. So what I've come to the conclusion is that the sponges work awesome, but not in this way. We should not be doing that in this way. What we should be doing is sprouting them, keeping them longer in the sprouter. So what I want is like a 1.5 to 2 inch root, but when the Swiss chard, you saw all those roots, I want to have the green plant come up and make sure that it's at its second set of leaves. So what I mean is that you see this one, you see this plant right here? It has its false leaves spread out, but then it has the second set. So I'm looking for basically when it starts growing those true leaves. That's when I want to transfer it into a sponge that is already open. So what I'll do is take one of these sponges and then open it up, put the plant into it, having the roots, you know, dangle down to here from my sprouter, and then plop it in, and so that roots can reach, and that way my sponges aren't soaked in water and they're not staying stagnant like this and growing algae. So that will prevent that happening. As for the Jiffy pots, I do notice that when I'm growing in the Jiffy pot is that there's a lot more root development off the bat. I see a whole bunch of roots happening here, which really sustains the plant. I am now seeing that same root development in this one here, which is the first one I put into the mixture. So I am seeing that result in here as well. So I'm liking both the sponges and this idea. This idea I can grow right into dirt, while I should be if you don't want to grow in dirt, sprouting them until, like I said, that second leaf stage, then transferring into the passive system will work a lot better. And that will prevent all of this from happening. But I am thrilled to have this happen and to show you what can happen, because it's all about education and trying new things. I have a couple of containers tucked away here, and I love keeping other people's containers that they love to throw away because I always repurpose them. I have in here some more those Jiffy pellets started with Swiss chard. So I want to have Swiss chard in the pellet form, in like the Jiffy pellets, and I want to have it started in the sponges. And I also have some romaine started into this Jiffy pots, but also into the sprouter. And I also have some of the Swiss chard seed in a different way into the sponges, just because I want to see if there's any different result. So these I planted about 2 days ago, so they're still about 4 to 5 days out from sprouting. They're just doing their root development. So back to over here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue using some canning jars, but I'm also going to use some peanut butter jars. I'm going to get my husband to drill a hole at the top so I can drop my net cups in here too, because these peanut butter containers, they're 1 kilogram, make the perfect hydroponic container as well. So like I said, I like saving things and reusing them. The other thing I should note is when I'm using these pellets is that I'm ripping the bottoms open. I don't like that they put this mesh. I'm not real fond of it because it's not really biodegradable, and that really disappoints me. But so many people are using these that I figured I'll give them a little try. But I think in the long run, if I want to do sponges or if I want to do this, I think I would figure something out to make this homemade instead of having this mesh. I bought these off of Amazon. They were 36 for $5 to give them a try, so that's what I am doing. Otherwise, I would say I am having fun and I'm seeing positive results right here and growing in the different manures. What I'm really excited about is to see them all in all the different kind of fertilizers to compare the growth, and that's going to happen here right shortly. So once again, I just want to thank everyone who is following me and learning with me. If you've got any other ideas, send them through comments. I read them all and I love to hear, because you know what? More brains put together is better than just one. So comment, tell me what you think. If you got a better idea or a suggestion or anything like that, I am willing to hear you out. Otherwise, we are going to harvest this for supper tonight. This is the second cutting of this beautiful lettuce. And again, thank you so much to Bloom Plus for their wonderful grow light. All the links are in the description box below. You can check them out, and also I will see you on the next video.